There is something that many highly sensitive people really struggle to comprehend. That there are people out there who have no empathy, no remorse, they have no moral compass, and they don't have a conscience. So I think it'll be particularly helpful for many highly sensitive people to get really familiar with these 5 obscure signs of abuse. It's my intention to help this community recognize these signs as early as possible, because these behaviors aren't conducive of healthy relationships. I don't really want to get caught up with the label of narcissism too much, because I find that the topic of narcissism can really keep us in that confused, looking for answers kind of energy, because there's all sorts of different flavors of narcissism. The narcissist personality disordered could also have a flavor of all sorts of other disorders, from histrionic to borderline. So I don't want to get too caught up in the label of narcissism. I understand the value of it, but with this video, I just want to go really general. Abusive conduct can manifest in all sorts of different ways. For example, in context with pathological narcissism, the abuse inflicted by a covert narcissist is just as destructive as the abuse inflicted by an overt narcissist. Whether they're cerebral, whether they're somatic, it doesn't really matter. It's all abuse. So let's not get caught up in the details too much. We tend to be very confused about what constitutes abuse, and so how can we make clear, defined boundaries if we ourselves don't know with certainty and precision what is acceptable and what is not acceptable in a loving relationship? I mean, we might have some general idea, but most of us spend too much time in confusion, in hesitation, with low self-worth, unable to say, this is where I draw the line. And many abusive behaviors go undetected, unrecognized, and so we're constantly left in this state of apprehension and uncertainty. So the gift of clarity and of knowing for sure can give us the freedom to know exactly what's appropriate and what's extremely inappropriate. And I understand that that's personal as well, but I'm speaking for the majority of highly sensitive people that are extremely confused, even still as adults, of what to expect in any healthy relationship. So let's untangle this web of deceit and confusion, and let's call it what it is. So here are my top 5 signs of obscure abuse in relationships. My first one would have to be titled Master Manipulator. So these people are expert liars. They will distort, they will concoct, they will fabricate stories, they will exaggerate. They are extremely emotionally unclear. So one day they'll say this and the next day they'll say that. And when you confront them about this, they will completely deny, and then you'll walk away feeling confused and crazy and wonder whether you've got the facts right. They really struggle to give you answers to simple questions. They change the subject a lot, they deviate from the topic that you were on, and you can never really pin them down because they will always skip all the things that are important to you. Number 2, what I'd like you to look out for is hostility language. Observe the choice of words that this person uses. And remember that language and our words is a choice. And the use of words is so important because the language that we use actually indicates what's going on beneath the surface, what we're actually pulling out from the unconscious. Their language will be peppered with hostile, bitter, hateful, belligerent, spiteful, condescending terms. They will make jokes at your expense. They'll be argumentative. They'll be name calling. They will either call you stupid or there will be an undertone to imply that you are stupid. And I'll talk about this a little bit more in my future videos. And that style of communication will be related more to a narcissist that's either overt or covert. So he will use that hostile language directly or indirectly. For example, this abuser might call you stupid to your face, or they may be a little bit sneaky and behind the scenes, appearing like they are a really smart person, and they may say something like, well, do you think your sister, your cousin, your brother would do it like that? So they plant a seed of doubt, and they also imply that you're stupid and that they're smarter than you. All of that is still under the umbrella of hostility language. Generally, all conversations are extremely unkind, malicious. They may talk about other people in a really disrespectful way. So watch what words they choose to use, what topics they choose to discuss. My number 3 is compulsive controllers. They love to control money, so they need to know how much you've made, what you've spent it on, and they will control everything from the car keys to decisions about where you go on holidays, the type of restaurant you choose to eat, which people you are and aren't allowed to talk to. They will control, for example, something as ridiculous as the towels in your bathroom. And if you pick the wrong color, it will provoke the narcissistic rage to erupt. And apparently they feel justified in their rage because they can't control. Number 4, signs of obscure abuse that a lot of people may not relate to being abusive is no awareness or regard for anybody else's boundaries. So that's the sort of person that will show up at your doorstep uninvited. They will call you at all hours of the night. They will go through your personal belongings and feel absolutely justified for doing so. They will constantly interrupt conversations. Your private time and space is absolutely disregarded. They will read your text, check your emails, go through your diary, and of course, then they will minimize the fact that they've overstepped a boundary by saying something like, well, your diary was open and so I read it. So any sort of boundary violation is a red flag that this person is an abuser. Number 5 is an intense victim mentality and complete irresponsibility. This person will blame their ex, their family, their childhood, their mother, the government, their boss, basically anyone and everything because they're the poor victim. So they play the victim card very well. They will look for pity and where they can manipulate someone else's empathy against them by making them feel sorry for them. You will never get an apology out of this person simply because they are always right and that's what they believe. And if they do apologize, it's to manipulate you, to make you believe that they truly are sorry, so then you can forgive them, lower your defenses, and be ready for the next round of abuse and manipulation. They're never sorry. They just create the illusion of being sorry, which is again another manipulation of our empathy and kind-heartedness. They will never take responsibility for poorly chosen words. So if you ever have the confidence to bring up the fact that they used an extremely harsh word that hurt your feelings, they will blame you that you're too sensitive. They're also very quick to utter words such as, look at what you made me do, and then they might buy you gifts to overcompensate for their abusive behavior. And sometimes people ask, how can I tell whether this behavior is abusive, whether it's bad, whether I should say something about it? And so what my answer to this question is that relationships are on a continuum. Every day being in a relationship is a choice for both people. So whatever one partner chooses to do or to not do, whether they choose to speak lovingly or unlovingly, or behave in ways that either preserve the intimacy of that relationship or they don't, they're actually giving you an answer towards whether they want this relationship to deepen and to create more trust and intimacy. And that's the natural course of healthy relationships, where you can communicate your needs. But if you are unable to speak to this person about this behavior, or if they're constantly defensive, or they guilt trip you and they manipulate you, if you need to be on the internet trying to find clues as to why this person is behaving this way, that is a red flag. Healthy relationships do not constitute that sort of behavior. All relationships with abusers leave us in a state of confusion, hesitation, disorientation. We end up feeling extremely distrustful, and our kind-hearted, empathetic nature and our ability to forgive people is what they use against us. We need to develop more discernment. We also need to develop more discipline with our empathy. There's only so many hours in a day. We only have this one lifetime, so make wise choices and always remember you have a right for happiness, for commitment, for security, for love, for consistency, and for stability, if that's what's important to you. And I think I'm right to assume that many highly sensitive people absolutely thrive once they're in a loving relationship, whether that relationship is a steady friendship, whether it is a nurturing relationship with a therapist. We desperately need stability and consistency. We need validation because most of our lives we've had none of that. And it's only in a supportive environment like that that we are able to embrace our gifts of sensitivity, feel secure, and reconnect with ourselves. We need to recognize in relationships, what are we minimizing? What are we tolerating? What are we denying? I hope you found some of these insights helpful, and I look forward to creating more videos to help empower highly sensitive people and bring more clarity into the confusion that many of us have lived in for a long time.